How do you stay motivated and avoid burnout in your fitness journey?
When I think of burnout, I think of overdoing it, but I suppose there could be the burnout from just dull repetition too. So there was a time where I was trying to actively lose weight through cardio, and that becomes really tricky because you have to exercise more than you're consuming. You have to create the caloric deficit through exercise. And I find with stuff like cardio, your body adapts quickly and starts to understand, like, it could always be a positive health metric, like getting in cardio can be beneficial to your health, but your body does kind of understand what you're doing at a certain point. So you kind of always have to increase. And I got to a point where I was riding a bicycle for like 8 hours a day, 6 days a week to lose weight, and still having to withhold food because after a while you're plateauing and you're like, what am I doing? Oh, I need to reduce intake again because right now my body's gamed this exercise and I've gotten to a place where it's no longer going to produce weight loss. So I think about burnout in that sense and go like, what do I want from exercise? There can be diet fatigue too. Like if we're talking about how you eat, I think with most diets, when I thought of them as short-term things, it's like, okay, this sucks. I can do this for 3 months, right? Or I can lose X number of pounds while doing this. And then on the flip side, it's that strange thing that realizing that this is a lifelong thing, like my issue is not a short-term thing. And then there's like, what do I want out of life? Knowing that I'm going to have to create some kind of a structure that isn't dependent on the goal, right? Because the goal might not come. So what can I do every day forever? What aspects of my life am I willing to give up? And even as I say that, there are instances where I'm unaware that I'm doing it. Like I'll go out to dinner with Brandy and go like, not that it's a cheap meal, but that like, oh, this is a restaurant I've heard about for years. I've never been here. I'm going to take some of the breaks off the way I eat. Like I'm going to have a bite of pasta. I'm going to try the appetizer. I'm not just going to do steamed fish and veggies, which is something I'll eat sometimes. Or like, I'm not just going to get a steak, a fatty steak like a ribeye and get veggies. I'm also going to try their potato side and eat a little bit of bread. And so some of the guardrails come off. And when some of the guardrails come off, I can find myself kind of in almost a blackout state, just eating. I'm no longer part of the conversation. I'm no longer really present. And in those instances, I've talked to Brandy about this. Like I've left a restaurant before going like, what happened? I don't feel well. I overate everything. I didn't want to. I wasn't thinking about anything. And she'll go like, yeah, you also stopped talking. Like I was sitting there having to make conversation with our friends. You were so focused on the food. And you weren't even like focused on it in a way that's, sharing it with us. Like, don't you think this is so good? What do you think they're making? You're just focused on eating. So that still happens. And like, it's very hard for me on my own to pull myself out of that. I just have to recognize that it happened and go like, okay, maybe I need more guardrails. The next time we go, I have to limit what I'm going to eat and be very specific beforehand. And then, my model for food is like, what is the structure that I'll be honestly happy with eating for the most part for the rest of my life? And high protein, moderate fat and carbs, not with an extreme on either end, is really what I find myself most satisfied with. And like that is the structure that has worked for me.